Okay.
I'll just turn that
Turn that
down.
music down, yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me is Gareth A. Davies. It's Sunday evening. We've just seen Daniel Dubois return emphatically, stopping Bogdan Dinu last night. We were both there in Telford. What did you make of it, Gareth?
I didn't think Dino was much of a challenge for him, if I'm quite honest. I mean, he was, because he was a 6'5" Goliath in front of him who would have knocked his head off if he had the opportunity. Daniel Dubois didn't give him the opportunity. Yeah, it was impressive. It was impressive. He'd only had 3 weeks with Shane McGuigan. He looked very composed behind the jab, I thought, in the first round. He took a couple of knocks. No response from him. He looked a little bit tentative to me. I've spoken about that with other people who I really respect, and they didn't think so. Maybe I was reflecting myself in him, feeling a bit for him, just maybe overlooking for those things. But, you know, we learned what we really know about him, which he can really knock people out with a big, you know, he's got so much power. He's got so much power. And I think maybe there's some scarring there, but you know, that maybe it always will be there in a sense. But you know, it's he's a very, very explosive fighter. He carried the occasion well. I liked the way he carried himself all week, and you know, he got the job done. And that right hand that guy wasn't getting up from that, you know. So it'll be interesting. He's back. It's great for Frank Warren. And you know, it looks like he'll fight Trevor, or they're going to push for Trevor Bryan, the WBA regular, one of the 4 champions, kind of like, what's the regular, kind of third of the 4 champion belts, kind of in a row or whatever, in sequence. So, and he's promoted by Don King, so that's fun as well. Frank Warren and Don King coming together, yeah, that's a good one. And, but that'll be interesting. So, yeah, onwards and upwards, 15 knockouts from 17 fights, you know, one on points, and that big blemish last year. I like the fact he said, I want to shut my doubters up. I like the fact he wants to fight his nemesis. I'm going to have your listeners reaching for their thesauruses tonight, by the way, I have decided, because I'm going to go all Latinate and Greek on you throughout this interview, just so you know that, Umar of IFL TV.
You're more than welcome to do that, Gareth. You're more than welcome to do that. Is he ready yet for world level after that massive loss to Joe Joyce? Where do you see Daniel Dubois? I'm going to exclude Trevor Bryan out of a world level kind of bracket.
Well, he's got world level power, hasn't he? So what he doesn't have is world level experience, and it's how you manage that experience. I think Shane McGuigan's a good fit for him, because I think Shane, even though he's quite quiet, I think he's quite an ambitious man, and I think he thinks about his fighters a lot. And I think he invests a lot of himself in them. It's not like others don't, but he's got a way of doing it. And I like that about him. And I just think it's a good mix. And so, you know, because Daniel's family are very involved with him as well. So, you know, you've got to go, that's part of it as well. But
so is Martin Bowers.
Yeah, well, they're managing him, aren't they? Yeah. So him and Tony. So Tony Bowers. So it's how they match him and how they manage him from here. You know, if he's around in 3.5, 4 years' time, he'll be a world champion. And he's progressed. He might have lost a couple of times. Doesn't matter. He's lost now. It doesn't matter if he loses 4 times. If he's around in 3 or 4 years' time, he will knock someone out to become heavyweight world champion. And I nail that. I nail that 6-inch boom right there, straight into the desk. Do you not think he will?
I completely agree. If he's still around, even in 2 to 3 years, and his only losses to Joe Joyce at that point, yeah, I think him and Filip Hrgović look like the 2 to carry it forward.
Yeah, or maybe Fraser Clark, or maybe Joe Joyce, or maybe, you know, but he's had his Ome Miserum moment.
Definitely has. But hopefully this is the start of a big comeback for Daniel Dubois. What did you make of Tommy Fury, Gareth?
He's huge, and he needs to lose 12 pounds or whatever it is. 9 pound, as John said. You know, he's 9 pound over, but we'll get the weight off. They will get the weight off. They know what they're doing. They're a boxing family. You know, it's great to see Big John last night. I haven't seen him for ages, like a year and a half. It was really cool to see him. He talks sense. The man talks sense, and he knows his sons. And Tommy looked very big. I mean, he is so big, isn't he? You know, up here. But they'll have to strip that weight down. And as his dad says, I don't want him jumping off boats in Miami 5 weeks before he's fighting. I think what I liked last night was he responded well to Jordan Grant's salvos in the first round, took his punches well, tied up well. See, he's a different fighter. The interesting thing about Tommy TNT Fury. He isn't in the mold of his other brothers or his cousin. He's a box fighter. He likes to brawl, really, doesn't he? And so they can turn him into an educated box fighter. And because he's never going to be light on his feet and pushing out the jab and being technical and having lots of movement and defeating on skills alone to begin with that the Fury cousins do, Tyson and Huey. So it's a different route for him. And he's already got a massive following. He's mainstream. Molly May's there last night. I mean, I never watched Love Island. I might have watched a couple of glimpses when they were on it. Too addictive. Start watching that. You just want to watch it all the time. I suppose that's what they do. But
I bet you applied for it.
Huh?
I bet you applied for it.
Me? I don't even know why you asked me that question. Why would I ever go on that?
I think you do quite well.
I don't think I do very well at all. I think I'd be thrown out very early on for doing whatever I'm doing that's not meant to be going on. And I would not play by the rules, you know?
Moving on.
Exactly, moving on. That's not my cup of tea. Another Ome Miserum moment, but for you this time. No, it's well, we were out too late last night. That basically he's already a star. He's already a star. So it's how they manage his boxing skills and his career, because he's got a mainstream, you know, TMZ career already, hasn't he? And Molly May was saying to me last night on the radio, he's only a novice. He's only 6-0, and you know, she's totally. What I like about them is he's very grounded. John's grounded with him, and he's interesting. He's handsome. You know, he's rugged, isn't he? He likes to fight rugged. They're trying to not let him fight rugged in case he gets knocked out. But what I make of him, it's good. He came back well. He won the fight. I thought he lost a round. Didn't agree with the judge, the referee. Thought he lost a round, but yeah, it's great, terrific.
Okay. Gareth, we haven't spoke since, well, we did actually. We
haven't spoken for about 14 hours, basically.
No, I was going to say, we haven't spoke since the collapse of Fury Joshua, but we actually did. We did it straight after, literally the night that the ruling came in. But since then, a lot of talk about who's to blame, etc. And there's been a lot of commotion around this. What have your thoughts been since AJ Fury collapsed?
Well, everybody knows, and everybody's divisive, and you're a fanboy of this, or you're a fanboy of that, or you're on this side. They mucked it up royally, yeah? They mucked it up royally on several levels. But also, it was consequential as well. It wasn't a situation that anyone could actually rescue in reality. Because, you know, to really analyze it in a very simple way, there was the biggest fight on earth that we've seen for, I don't know, 30 years, since kind of like Holyfield and Tyson, Lewis and Tyson, those guys, yeah. On offer, all British. They'd have made 200 million pounds or dollars, maybe 175 million pounds from that fight, maybe even more, maybe 200 million. But the chess game, I think, of where Bob Arum is with Tyson Fury, where Frank Warren is with Tyson Fury, and the ESPN deals, where Hearn was with Dazn and Sky and Anthony Joshua, a huge amount of money and effort, kind of a lot of hard work by Eddie Hearn to get over the line over there. I do think they didn't know the arbitration case was going to go against them. I genuinely think that. but I think there should be less. There have been less announcing from everyone, and it's difficult because we all ask that question, and we ask it all the time. So I think if they do the negotiation again, they're better off not to leak stuff out, because someone's saying this and someone's saying that and someone's doing that side of it. It was no one got deliberately played in this, in my view, whatever they're saying. It was a series of consequences, you know? The only thing that people will say, well, what are you on about? Why didn't they pay Wilder off? Wilder was offered financial recompense through a third fight with Fury. That's a better option for him.
Of course.
For his pride, he becomes the world champion again, for God's sake. And Arum went for summary judgment last December and they didn't get it. Whether they didn't communicate enough to Eddie Hearn that they thought he must remember that that it could go the other way, I don't know if that was done enough. I think everybody ignored Al Heyman and Shelley Finkel working away behind the scenes and where they were going with it. And Wilder was very quiet. And it was a quiet assuredness I think they had. Mm-hmm. So things happen in life for a reason, don't they? You know, people get injured on the day of a fight and they will lose a world title. I think it was a series of unfortunate events, you know, and I think it led to the breakdown. I fear the fight may never happen. Certainly not in the form it is, because we need two particular winners. And how often in a tournament do the two semi-finalists you expect to win? You know, there's a lot of upsets. So I do hope we get Joshua and Fury later in the year in Saudi Arabia, and we're all out there, and then we get Wembley the next year. But there's a lot of blood and water to pass under the bridge before then.
Do you think Joshua vacates the WBO, Gareth?
No. Why?
Well, there's been talk about doing a Dylan White rematch. Eddie Hearn has done a lot of interviews on Haney Linares fight week where he says we won't be dictated by the governing bodies anymore. We'll do what's best for us. It's been in that kind of talk. So they haven't ruled out vacating the WBO, and they also haven't ruled out making a deal with Alexander Usyk and getting the fight on. But they have said they won't go to purse bids.
No, I've heard that. I know that. Yeah. The final thing that I didn't mention just now as well is there is no way on earth that Fury would not have wanted that fight with Joshua. He's a big favorite and he was going to earn £65 million. So there's no way you're going to say no to it. Do you know what I mean? There's no way. No way. So the Twitter spat, all of that stuff between Joshua and Fury adds to the drama, makes it a bigger fight. I mean, will he fight Usyk? Well, I mean, why not? I mean, Usyk, 6'3", he's a cruiserweight. Go and smash him up. I mean, so Dillian White, or who's the other mandatory?
There isn't a mandatory due at the moment.
Of course. Well, he's done the IBF, hasn't he? So he's. Yeah. What you're suggesting to me that your feeling is that he won't fight Usyk?
No, not at all. I've just going off certain interviews on Haney Linares fight. Where are you going?
I'm just getting a cigarette because I fancy one.
Okay.
Is that okay on IFL TV interviews? And I have a little tequila in my coffee tonight. Is that okay?
Absolutely, Gareth. You do what you want.
You're absolutely fucking right. I do what I want because this is my time that you're interviewing me in. Yeah.
Someone's lively for a Sunday.
No, I'm playing with you, my friend. I'm playing. It's banter. You know that. You know me better than that.
Always banter, Gareth. It's always banter. What was I saying? No. I'm not suggesting. I'm just going off certain interviews.
Has your heart rate just gone up or something?
Why?
Because you forgot what you were saying.
No, I was saying I'm not suggesting at all that they're going to vacate. They haven't ruled it out. So I've just been asking people's opinions. Do you think it's sensible to vacate? Do you think?
No, I don't think it is. Hold on to the belts. Fight Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk. It's a really good fight, and I think he'll win it. And I think he'll knock him out in 7 or 8 rounds. And if it goes 12 rounds, Joshua has probably done something wrong.
And how dangerous is Deontay Wilder in this third fight?
He's a punch away from fighting for the undisputed title. He's always a punch away. He can knock out anyone. He can knock out anyone with one punch. That's how dangerous he is. And yet he, technically, he's on a completely different level to Tyson Fury. That's why Fury is in Vegas with his team winding him up to really switch on. He's got to be so switched on. He's gone from as we said just now, £65 million fight in his mind for the undisputed heavyweight title against Anthony Joshua. A massive showdown, not only in our country, but around the world, but so extraordinarily for us. And now he's going to earn, I don't know what it is, 20 million fighting Deontay Wilder. A guy who, he knocked from pillar to post in the second fight and outpointed on the first one, even though he's knocked down twice. So he's so dangerous, so dangerous.
Gareth, moving on to TV talk and network situation. How do you think Sky Sports are going to fare now within the boxing industry?
Well, they'll have to work their way back into it. It's a big divorce, isn't it? It leaves a big, cavernous kind of space to fill. I mean, it's a long relationship with Matchroom, but there's plenty of good promoters out there, and they've just got to get their strategy right and make sure that they're putting on good cards. That's what fans want right now. They want good cards. I know we're going to talk about the other thing in a small section as well, the MP fight. They'll get their act together. I know they've been talking to a lot of the major forces in the sport. And they're a very serious channel with huge amounts of money to be able to get those deals in place. So, it's like when you lose a couple of your best teammates, you rebuild, don't you? You rebuild. And so it's a rebuilding for them now. It's going to be an interesting process.
And how do you think Dazn will get on in the UK in this kind of short-term space with their launch here?
Well, I think they'll do very well. I mean, what can you buy for £1.99 a month anymore, So that is an attraction on the bottom line. It's a damn good service. They do a decent job. They do a very decent job, and they do a lot of sport. And it's a really manageable. I like the DAZN app. I'm not a big app guy, but I like it. It's simple. When you come on there and you want to see something, it's on. Do you know what I mean? You can go back. I like it. I like the efficiency of it. If you're asking about that, I'm giving you all the levels of answer. How will they do? They've given Eddie Hearn reportedly £100 million pound war chest for 5 years, 3 years, 3-year deal, 5-year deal.
It's a 5-year deal.
I think you're right. It is a 5-year deal. Yeah, it's a quintennial deal. So I think it's, look what he's done with Matchroom USA, signing up really big names. He never stops working, Eddie. I think it'll be a success, but it depends how long they throw that money in before they become the Netflix of sports, and that's their strategy, So once they buy football, more eyes will come to it, and then they'll put the price up. And then we'll have boxing fans moaning that they're having to pay $12.99 for, it's the same old cycle, evolution and recycle and revolt.
I believe Anthony Joshua has one fight left with Sky Sports on his contract. Say he renews with them. How much of a difficult task will it be for them, for DAZN, to capture a big audience without AJ?
I think they'll have AJ. Okay. I think what they'll do AJ Global and they'll do AJ UK Sky Box Office. I think he can do whatever he wants with Eddie Hearn. He's very powerful, Anthony Joshua. He's extraordinary. I mean, it's funny, the Olympic qualifiers were tonight, and obviously, well, I know we might touch on it. Fraser Clark's gone through, and I'm really delighted for him. And the other 9 that are going now. I think there were 7 others that qualified in Paris this weekend. We'll name them. We'll do a name check for them all in a minute. But Anthony Joshua and his company will align with Eddie Hearn very soon. They will be joint companies together, and you know, he'll have a say in it. He'll have a part in it all. He'll have boxers he brings to Eddie. Now he's so rich, he's so powerful, you know, and he's got his head screwed on. He's a fantastic advocate for what boxing can do for you and how you take your opportunities. You can really grow. I mean, I really like Anthony. I think he's an extraordinary person. I think he carries things so well. I'd like him to be a bit more open with us and see us a bit more, you know, but he's a less is more kind of guy. And that's the way he is, you know. If people don't want you to hassle them, I don't tend to hassle them. If they're happy to see you, great. Do you know what I mean? But so I think whatever they choose to do will work. And you know, they'll have Joshua on that. They'll have Joshua. Joshua's got probably 3 or 4 years left fighting, I think. Fury probably 2, 3. These guys won't be fighting in their late 30s. They won't need to. They'll have riches beyond their, you know, not their wildest dreams, but they'll have riches beyond. They'll have other businesses, you know. It amazes me that those guys with their extreme wealth, people like Conor McGregor, still have it in them to come back and do it again, you know, and maybe take another beating if they're not kind of hungry anymore, or because it's in them. It's in them to. The fame and the riches actually mean nothing at the end of the day. They mean nothing. They mean nothing because inside those guys is this desire to prove something to us, but mostly to themselves. Do you know what I mean? And it's so amazing to witness and write the narrative of that, if that kind of answers your question.